Welcome, everybody, to the podcast Building Resilience. So, we're here today recording the show. This is a show where we go beyond the headlines and the heart of those who have faced life's most intense battles and emerged with them with purpose, with the strength, and with unshakable faith. I'm your host, Jose Pereira. I'm a former Circo CEO. I'm today international speaker. I'm a resilient coach, and I'm a man who survived also my own story. So here's the platform. We don't just talk about surviving. We're talking about leading. We're talking about thriving. So we explore what is mean to be walk with clarity, with conviction, and with courage, even if the world falls apart. So now, before we did dive today with this incredible conversation, let me take a little moment about to share something that I want to say. I'm gonna do a 1 minute promotion because I'm gonna start my Spanish translation of my book very soon. Today I received the manuscript. I'm very happy for that. And so before we start, I want to say that how I met this lady. She one day contacted me and she wanted to do a podcast with me. It was a lot of fun. I remember that when we did your podcast, you had those purple things and the lights, and it's like I remember that like being in a disco in the 90s, you know. So you have a great set. So I have here a wonderful lady called Demetria Goode, and I want to introduce herself because she really is a outstanding person. Demetria has an incredible story because she's a survivor of uh, abuse. So this is part of her story. But she has a podcast called the Unfiltered and Unspoken. So we're going to talk about that name, what the name of Unfiltered and as Unspoken. Demetria has also a foundation. She has the Goode Fight. So also we're going to talk about what is the Goode Fight. So well, as I said, she has an incredible story of survivor. I'm going to ask her a little bit about that. So without further ado, let me give the mic to you, Demetria.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be on your podcast and to go from interviewing you and now you're interviewing me. I'm thankful. God is so awesome. He is so good. So it's such an honor. I want to thank you before we start.
Mhm.
Um, so just a little, I guess I'm introducing myself.
Yes, of course. Introduce yourself. Yes.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Demetria Good. I am the founder of the Good Fight nonprofit
Mhm.
organization, 501c3. We'll get into that later,
Mhm.
and founder of Unfiltered Unspoken podcast.
Mhm.
So I started in no, I'm sorry, March of 2013.
Mhm.
My ex-husband brutally beat and stabbed me 6 times with a
Oh
steak knife.
wow. When
And
I heard about that, I got like what? Yeah,
mhm,
incredible.
yeah. Yeah, so I in the entire situation, it led me to feeling hopeless, just no feeling at all. I just didn't want to be here anymore because of all the complications after being stabbed. So a few months after that, I was one person that didn't believe in suicide, but God put me in a position to feel how others felt that were in that position. And it's a empty feeling. So I'm also an advocate for mental health. I put 30 Percocets up to my mouth. And in the
Wow.
process of almost taking the Percocets, my toddler at the time ran in the room and said, "Hey, mommy, I love you," and kissed me on my forehead and ran out the room. I knew that was nothing but God.
Yeah.
And that is when I realized that I didn't have to live for just myself, but I had to live for my kids because
Yeah.
they needed me.
Yeah.
And I had to find some ways of strength and courage.
Yeah.
So it would take me another 5 years or so to start. And it started actually with Facebook, me typing a post that I continued to type and delete. And I finally shared my testimony with a picture. But not only sharing my
And you
testimony,
share it in Facebook.
yeah, I shared it on Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
a photo of me.
Wow.
And that was the start of my healing journey. It would take a lot of work after to get
Yeah.
where I am today, but it caused me to look at my entire life, even starting back into childhood. So it created, after I shared my testimony, so many people started reaching out to me. And that's how the good fight was started. And I was like, how do I put out sharing others' testimonies? And that is the work that we do. We start with youth. We try to give youth hope, and so that they can avoid childhood traumas and situations. But we work with men, women, and youth of all kinds of life trauma, specific focus, domestic violence, specific focus, the youth, but we work with everyone, and we just continue to bring resources and free youth tutoring, free hygiene kits, donation boutique. We do so much. So uh
I have
just
seen
share.
your post when you're doing stuff. I remember you did one day a post when you you moved to a new location, was correct? So
Yes.
so you did like a party. So I saw that. Yeah. What was going in your heart and your mind when that situation of the stabbing? Let's go back to that moment because
Okay.
that is like your pivotal moment. So what was going in your mind when that happened? Because you said that you were having suicidal thought, but what made you shift? What made you go and say no, this is enough for me? Because you talk a little about that.
Absolutely. So in my situation, I believe there's two parts for my side of taking accountability. And um if a person never tells the truth, then that's on them.
Mhm.
So I try to tell both sides, as much as I can, as accurate as I can.
Mhm.
So I had been through a lot. I had ended up taking care of the household, but taking care of the household, it was so much emotional abuse. There was no actually there was no physical abuse. There was emotional abuse, there was financial abuse, there was verbal abuse, there was sexual abuse, there was all forms of abuse that I was encountering. And where I take accountability at is when triggers and traumas happen, we give verbal abuse back as well. So
Mhm.
I verbally abused, and my verbal abuse was a defense because I was defending not just me, but my kids. One day after coming home from my part time, I had been working both of my jobs almost 40 hours, my part time and full time. So I was working 80 hours a week to try to, handle the household. And when I walked in the house, I heard my ex talking about me, and something in my head, I just blacked out and I started telling him how I felt. And I would insinuate, whoever you're talking to on the other line, tell them that you'll buy alcohol before you buy your daughter diapers. So I was releasing triggers that I had held for so long, because what happens in relationships, it starts out, you love each other, but the love had turned into hate,
Yeah.
and that hate had turned into destroying two families, the separations of the families because of the traumas. So when I came home that day, I just kind of blacked out and expressed how I felt. And in the end, I was like, it's over. I don't want to be married anymore. And they call it a crime of passion. If they couldn't have you, no one else could have you. And I had walked outside and came back in because my son, and not my real nephew, but play nephew, was outside waiting on me to take them to their destination that they needed to go. And when I came back in, my ex-husband attacked me. He started
Wow.
hitting me, and he was hitting me so hard that I didn't realize that he was stabbing me. So
And you
he
you were feeling, or maybe in the heat you didn't feel nothing.
I didn't feel the stab wounds. I didn't even know I was being stabbed because if you see me in person, I'm 5'4", so I'm smaller. He was 6'2", about 275 pounds. So you could see the difference of um there was no power that I could overpower
Oh.
him. And he beat me down the hallway to the back bedroom, and as he was beating, he was just hitting me, and um I started banging on the floor. My dad was actually downstairs, and about time the whole ordeal was over with, when my dad came up, I kind of slid underneath my dad's legs to get outside,
And you were
and
bleeding. You were
I
bleeding.
was bleeding, but I didn't know the extent of what he had
Wow.
did to me.
Incredible.
When I got outside, and I put my arms down, I seen blood running down my arms. And that's when I realized that I had been stabbed. And I kind of went in shock. And as I came out, I guess he had a blackout moment as well because he was trying to come near me to, like, what did I do? And I just was kind of like, get away from me. And about time the ambulance finally came, they had to cut off my clothing, and that's when I realized that the how many times I was stabbed. So he stabbed me one in the arm here, one in the arm here, two in the hand. I had to have a major surgery on my hand to repair my tendons and nerves. I have a disability in my hand. If you notice, I can't bend my hand fully. So this will never bend. I still have pains from 12 years ago. Sometimes my nerves take over my hands and it's very painful.
What happened with him?
He ended up getting locked up. Uh, I was going through I was at such a weak point that I couldn't face him, and I actually asked for a plea bargain. So some of the work that I do is to actually get women to know, or men, it could be a man too, because men go through domestic situations
Mm-mm.
as well, is to have the strength and courage to go through because I didn't have the strength and the courage. And I had prosecutors and police officers working to get this case done. And I couldn't stand up. I couldn't. I just didn't have the strength. I just wanted to be over. And I didn't want to put underage kids through trial as well. So I kind of tried to push away from it. So he ended up getting 10 years, I think. He had back time.
He's out right now.
Huh?
He's
He's
out right.
actually, he passed away in January.
He passed away.
This January, yes.
What
Um,
what is your feeling? What is in your heart?
I had no emotion. I had no emotion. And we have a child together.
Did you forgive him?
I forgave him the day he did this to me. When I got in the hospital, I actually asked God to forgive him, and a lot of people that were around me were not so happy with my forgiveness. So,
But you know something. By the way, I did a like this weekend. I attended an event that I was invited, and
mhm,
I remember that when I finished, it was a fire chat in a very nice location here in Houston. And when I finished, there was the Q and A's, and one person asked me about my story, that
mhm,
what happened if I have sense of revenge, if I had anger, and I said no. I decided to forgive because if you don't forgive, you become a victim of that situation.
yeah,
So I
and
told them if I have not forgiven my captors, I will be a hostage all my life. So
mhm,
it's the same that you. So good that you took that decision because it's incredible. It's courageous taking the decision to forgive. It's not easy.
Yeah. And even though we forgive, what we have to remember is we will forever live with scars and triggers.
Yes. But the
And
problem is that the problem is when the scars hurt. If the scar you have it as a reminder but doesn't hurt, now you're healed.
yeah, because and I'm sorry, I'm gonna step back just a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So the six stab wounds, one, two on my hand, three, four. One was over my heart.
Wow. So he went to the heart.
Yeah, one of the stab wounds, you can actually see the mark is over my heart, and one was
Wow.
right here. I had 15 stitches up my chin to lip. My lip is actually shifted. You can
Wow.
see the mark here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's up here, and my top
Yeah.
lip is shifted. I had three staples in my head. My head was gashed open.
Wow.
I had golf ball sides. I had braids in my hair then. I had golf ball plugs pulled out of my hair. You really didn't. Uh, when people looked at me through the healing journey, just me going out, I think people looked at me as I was in a fight. They didn't know the extent to it. So
Yeah.
it probably looked like I was in a brawl or I was
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
So those you after you feel humiliated, you feel embarrassed. You just don't know where to start in life because you're damaged inside.
Yeah.
You're hurt inside. You're going through pain inside. And not only that, the worst part of it is family and friends are the other part that justify uh, or accepts what the other person has done
They were
instead of
justifying him that what he did.
yeah, instead of holding him accountable. I remember one person told me, well, if he did it, he must have did it for a reason.
Oh wow, incredible.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. And I'm like, you know what it's like to be in a relationship with someone and they're not truthful about their self, but they make you look bad all the time. And you're the person that's doing so much for them and not even doing so much for them. Like my parents disliked him and his side. Eventually they loved me, but then they disliked me. And I don't think people stop to ask, how can you love a person so much in the beginning and then dislike them? And I had a no trespassing sign. So my friends and family actually didn't know the abuse that I was going through because I believe marriages and stuff, you keep people out of your relationship. But on his side, it was very, very toxic. Um, just no accountability at all. And I always tell people, as friends and family, you have to make people accountable, especially when they have a pattern,
Yeah.
especially when done stuff to other people. You have to look at the history and the pattern of what they're doing. Um, so just a very some of the episodes I lived in fear. I lived in fear. I actually became scared. And I think that was the hardest thing of saying, I want to leave, I want to let go, because I was fear, even though I would verbally protect myself. That was because I have kids. I just think if I didn't have kids, I probably would have went through even more of the verbal, emotional, financial, sexual abuse,
But
So
you mentioned that your kid came and told you something that was
yeah, so when I got stabbed, my son and
uh-huh.
my play nephew was outside.
Uh-huh.
So they seen me
So
and
they
I,
saw all that.
they saw what I looked
Wow.
like. I hadn't even seen myself.
How they
I
are
didn't
doing
even
today, 12 years after? How they're doing?
time
How they are doing with that? That did it affect them or they're okay?
it for my son.
Hmm.
This is what I tell people. In any situation, and this is for men and women, you have to think about the kids.
Yeah.
People that are in domestic situations, sometimes we're selfish and we only think about ourselves.
Mhm.
And when we leave, most people get help, but their kids are left traumatized.
Yeah.
And the events that happen, my kids through were traumatized. Now, my son had always had a therapist. I took my daughter to a therapist. My youngest didn't even know what was going on because she was a toddler. But I had one child shift. My son actually had behavioral issues, ADHD, and he actually reversed and went to the Bible and started um, putting God. So he actually grades went up. He passed school. My other one, she started having behavioral issues. It was taking a toll on her because of what happened to her mother. But not what only happened to her mother. My daughter had a 4 pound Pomeranian. And I'm going to share this piece because, I got a book I need to write. So I don't always want to put
I,
two
I
together.
wanna I wanna
Coming,
say that. Why you hadn't
coming.
written your book? You have to do
I'm
it.
getting, I'm getting there. I'm
No, you
getting
have
there.
to do it.
I've
Don't
started.
procrastinate. You have to do it. Yeah.
I know I've started, and I just need to get a little more. But this piece I have shared, and I'm going to share it here. People live with mental health issues, and a lot of relationships are based off um, trauma bonding. I had childhood issues. He had childhood issues as well. But I had a vulnerability of love. So I was always looking. What I felt like love was, I would settle. My daughter had um, her dog, and he left his food on the couch. I had brought him, I remember clear as today, it was a steak and cheese, and he kind of sat it on the couch, went in the kitchen, came back, and I was in the kitchen washing the dishes, and the dog jumped on the couch and ate the sandwich. And this is where my real fear started. And I could hear the dog screaming. He beat the dog up for pets. The dog's eye popped out of her head, blood everywhere. I didn't know what to do. I
Wow.
was in shock. And I covered it. I was scared. And um, I had to pay to get the dog's eye, to save the eye, stitched just to save the eye. Back then, it was $3,000. And I had to pay for what he did. And then he didn't give me $1 or contribute towards it. I remember I had to write 5 post-dated checks. We were
Wow.
already struggling. I was already holding, and this is where financial abuse comes in at. And I didn't know what to do. My neighbor was like, I'm gonna call the police. And I wasn't honest with my daughter. My daughter knew. I eventually I told her. And I remember saying all got hit in the eye with a baseball. People don't know what it's like to see someone in rage.
Yeah.
Rage to the point you're living together. It's not like you can walk away and separate and do things differently, and you're feared. That's where my fear started. That's where my fear started.
But you
And I
did
had,
something great, Demetria. I'm surprised, but at the same time now I respect you much more because you converted that in something very really great. So let's talk a little bit how that maybe that when you begin to think in the foundation in the nonprofit when that idea came.
You said what? Can you repeat that? I
That
apologize.
when the idea of the nonprofit came, because now you have the nonprofit to help
Hmm.
others. How you decided to convert that so dramatical event in your life in something good for the others?
So my last name is Good with
Yes, that's why I that's why I said good.
Good. Yep, it's good with the E on the end. When I start going through the healing journey, the true healing journey of not just self-esteem to me is insecurity. And I'm sorry, some people be like, whatever. I had high self-esteem, but it was only covering my insecurity starting from childhood. So the hardest thing for people to do is to uh look at the reflection in the mirror. Thank you, baby. Sorry, my
No, no,
daughter.
no, that's okay. That this is a program where I love that the people pour their soul, because that is the intention, that people see
Mhm.
you how you are really you are.
Yeah, and I'm passionate about what I do. So I had to face my reflection in the mirror. And it started by me putting stickies on a mirror saying that I'm beautiful, I love you. Just, just all different stick. I can't remember all of them because that was 12 years ago.
So,
And I would say it to myself over and over again. Every time I went in the bathroom, I would repeat those stickies. And that is what helped build my confidence. I don't say self-esteem anymore. It's confidence.
comfort.
And because I had none. And so that caused me to go back to my childhood and look at some of the things that I went through in my childhood because I was in and out of the system from 12 to 16, dysfunctional family, um, bullied. I was bullied by family members. I bullied, and then when I moved, I got bullied. But when I got bullied the last time, I knew how to handle it. I knew how to stand up for myself. But and bullying is not a good feeling. So I didn't bully that long as a child, and a lot of times because I've been in that position, I understand. Um, I was bullied bad at home. So and not at my mom, but at grandma's, right? And I had to go to grandma's almost every day. And I had to look at a lot of hard pieces in my life that I didn't want to look at. And I had to face those pieces. So I had to say to myself, every situation in your life, what is the lesson learned? And I had to take accountability for the things that I could take accountability for.
Mhm.
And I had to forgive. And I had to tell myself some things are controllable and some things are not controllable.
That's so
You
true.
have to forgive yourself for the things that aren't controllable because it's not your fault. But for the things that are controllable, you have to apologize for that and you have to forgive for those things. And a part of my forgiveness is sharing my life experience. I started apologizing to people that I went to school with. If I could remember and I bullied, I apologize.
You went to them?
I hit a lot of people on Facebook and I apologize.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I will continue even through this. If there are people that are watching this and I did something to hurt you as a child, I was hurt and I apologize. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So facing that reflection was very challenging, very challenging. Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is your life. A
Mm.
lot of people don't want to do that. But even with my situation with my ex, I had to take accountability there. And this is for anyone. And if you're in a domestic situation, because we all have a choice. And I had a choice when God removed him. I had a choice when I felt bubbles in my stomach. I had so many choices. And because I decided to be in that situation, you go life and then it's almost like you can't get out of that situation. That's what it's feel because everything is ripped from you. And that's why a lot of people stay. And my job is to show people what accountability is. So I started to take accountability over my life. Um, even with my ex, I had to say, you have to take accountability with your kids. You have to take accountability for staying because you had a choice. And what that did is us saying no or us leaving and walking away, it prevents us from being in a situation like me, almost losing my life.
Yeah.
Because if I would have made different choices, I would have never been in that situation. If I would have made the choice with what happened with the dog and got strength and courage to try to get out of that, then my life would have never led up to being almost taken.
But you
So,
have something now. You carry out your testimony, and
mm-hmm,
your testimony became your superpower. So,
yeah,
I can see, every time I'm hearing more stories, I'm always finding the pattern that you had to go to that moment that you rock bottom, and then there comes that transformation. So God God is incredible the way he operates.
he is, and look at it now. Look at me taking accountability. Look at me saying I can tell both sides and I can be honest about my good, bad, and ugly, you know, opposed to just bashing someone and making excuses for my childhood traumas.
Yeah.
My childhood traumas caused me to choose the men that I dealt with from growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I said I would never, 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 never do. But I was so messed up that I was broken. I was damaged myself. So how could I be in a relationship when I needed help myself with my own relationship with myself?
Correct.
So those were things right there that are incorporated under the good fight too, is abusers can become a person that has been abused can become an abuser.
Yeah.
And with me, what I looked at was me financially taking care of men, me financially doing certain stuff. I had to look at myself. Why are you doing this? And I realized that I had a vulnerability of love, right? But not only having that vulnerability of love, was that a control piece on my end, So I looked at a lot of things like that, so and it's for me to prevent my children from doing and making those mistakes. My children watching me heal has helped, especially my daughters, has helped them to heal. Now with my son, we don't have a very close relationship like we used to. The traumas and separation, he knows I'm his mom. He loves me. I love him too. But he also is with one of my parents that verbally abused me and continues. And but I have the strength to say you don't have permission. You're not allowed to do that. But negative traits trickle down, and it's bonded.
Yeah.
So I had my daughter actually come to me and say, "Mom, you have done, and I have watched you done all that you can do. It's time for you to let it go." And for your children to watch you change so much in life, and not just changing within yourself, but changing in relationships, changing in friendships, and you create a peaceful atmosphere. My healing journey allowed my home to be peaceful. We had commotion, we had differences, but me healing and taking accountability it created a different kind of peace. And
When
that,
when you create that atmosphere that is peaceful, everything begins to change. That, and it has to be with the people that you relate. So that's
yeah,
so important. The people where you are related with. If you interact with toxic people, your atmosphere will be toxic.
mhm.
The people that hearing this, take care with who you relate. So when did the nonprofit idea come from, and how it came?
Yes. So me sharing my life experience, I said, God, what do you want me to do? Because this is led by God. This is not led by me. God spared my life. So I've seen God and I've seen the devil when I
Yeah.
almost lost my life. I'm going to make that very clear. And this is the God's honest truth. And God spared my life. And this is bigger than me. And I said, God, what do you want me to do? And I'll always sit down and I think, and it's like we're in a warfare. The world is in a warfare of positivity over negativity. And the
Mhm.
negativity is people's traumas. People are blinded by their traumas and they make
Mhm.
excuses because certain things happen to them and they're hurting people. So I had to
Mhm.
look at myself because I'm a reflection in the mirror. So the good fight started because I said I want to share life experiences of others in hopes that someone will connect to start their journey to healing because somebody's testimony may help someone else.
Mhm.
I want to work with youth. I want to bring community because when I was younger, I went to the community center. The community center is what took my mind away from everything playing with friends, eating snacks,
Mhm.
laughing, arcade, all that good old stuff. So I was like, I want to create something that is community based and driven but to give the youth a peace of mind, but not just the youth, men and women, because we do a lot of work with men and women, returning citizens, domestic violence, like trauma. So we do a lot of stuff, but the specific area of focus was the youth because I went through childhood traumas.
Mhm.
So I wanted to incorporate my life experience into the good fight, something good.
And
And
how is
that's
the response in the youth? How is their
huh,
response? How is the response of the youth?
of the youth.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah.
love me.
Yeah.
And not only that, we do the free youth tutoring, and all the kids that have come in have improved in their grades.
Oh, that's great.
Not only that,
That's
we teach them respect, we teach them morals, we teach them even to the point like when you go in the store, stop throwing stuff in your parents' carts. It's financial literacy, right? Literature, that's literature. Financial literacy, right?
Mhm.
So we teach them all of that. And in a nutshell, we teach them meditation, we teach them deep breaths. So
Oh,
even
wow.
getting them to in situations where they can just calm down and not make the wrong mistake, right?
Mhm.
Because me as a youth, I thought being incarcerated in and out of the system, because that's what showed me so much love. But I actually lost a piece of my childhood from having behavioral
Wow.
issues, right? So if I could capture one youth, if I could capture two youth, my job, the good fight has done its job. But I wanted to go even deeper. How do we expand out? And that's how Unfiltered Unspoken
That
podcast.
was my next question, because you went further and you created the podcast. Talk
Yep.
about that.
Yep. So that was an extension is how do we start sharing testimonies?
Mhm.
So when we started this baby, I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't even know my co-host Sid, shout out to Sid. And we met actually from me trying to where the good fight was actually being someone actually almost destroyed the good fight. And I didn't sleep for hours and hours and days. Like it was very bad. I was going through a panic, but I didn't give up and I fixed it. See, people don't know. And I want to say this, be careful of who you think is your friend and you do business with
Oh,
because
yeah.
all business is not good business, and just because it's your friend or referral does not mean that you have to use them. Always vet people when it comes to your business
That's
and the
why I always ask God to give me discernment, not only
Mhm.
wisdom, discernment, because that is
Yeah,
what you can say. This is not for me.
this is enough. So
Mhm.
we just jumped into the podcast, and I didn't know. I didn't know. And but this is how God blessed it. It just along the way, it just started to get better and better. And I learned. And now I'm doing all the editing, the flyers, creating the videos, all that stuff is run by me. And so um people just started coming, and I went on a platform and asked for guests, and we booked out first year. Second year, we booked out. This year, I actually said I didn't want to book out. I want to organically do it. And we're in July. We're booking in July now. I didn't even use the website to book people. I
But
was like,
people
I'm
come to you.
they're coming.
How the
And
people connect with you?
they see other people's testimonies. We
Okay.
get emails, we get messages. We've had people come back a second time.
Well, the program that I did with you did great.
Yeah.
I have it in my YouTube channel. The other I saw it has, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 views.
Ooh, yay. And that's the thing is we're international. And we've virtually we've been in almost 30 countries virtually, but probably we've done over 60 interviews virtually in different countries. So it was a platform of we want men, women, we want all different nationalities. I did not want it specific just to one race. I wanted it specific because everybody goes through life traumas. Everybody is not everybody, but most people are suffering, and people don't realize how many people are going. It's more people that have been through traumas than people that have not.
Well, and you're talking about unspoken, and this is so true. You know, one of the things that today I is part of my coaching program that I do, because I have this program that I do with basically with a business leader, and the
Mm-hmm.
people had traumas and they never talk about it. So now they're leading companies or leading businesses and having their own traumas. So
Mm-hmm.
so if they don't solve that, they are transferring that to their employees, to the people. So it became it's like an effect. So that word unspoken, I like it because these are the hidden things that people have.
Yep. And we wanted a platform where people were going to be free to talk
Mhm,
about
mhm,
their testimony and not judge. And not only
mhm.
that, people should be able to tell their testimony how they want to tell it.
Yeah.
If you may use a bomb word, if that's how you want to express it, then that's how you express it. Because you never know what the person sitting next to you has been through. And we judge. And you said something very important with leadership is because a leader is supposed to be able to teach the people underneath them to be a better leader than them. And if a leader is still coping with traumas, they're
Not
gonna
gonna.
they're gonna trickle down all the
Mhm,
negativity, the
mhm.
narcissistic behaviors. I supported a very large person at a big corporation, and when I tell you a narcissist, and it trickled down to everybody underneath, and I was by few one of the people that stood up to him. And I went to corporate and I went to internal affairs. And when I finished, I had the lawyers coming to me because I had been through so much abuse that I vowed to myself, I don't care if it's a corporation, I don't care what it is, that I will not suffer through abuse. And I knew it was a 50% chance that I could lose my job. But my dignity in the person that who I am is more important than anything. Because if God can get me through 6 stab wounds, he can get me through any form of abuse.
Mhm.
So that's the beauty of Unfiltered Unspoken podcast is sharing that abuse, because a lot of the folks, it started from childhood. childhood traumas affect adult decisions. And that is true. And that is one of my slogans.
Well,
So,
I interview a person that when I came back from my hostage situation, I stayed in
mhm,
a trauma center in North Carolina, and the director of the center, by the way, he was the prologuist of my book. So when I interviewed him, he told me something that really, wow, shocked me. He told me that 78% of the homeless are being abused when they were kids. So it's not a strong correlation between somebody that has been abused when they was a kid and when at the end of their life, after 50 years, they become homeless. So because it at the end, if you don't heal, it will impact your life.
yeah. And then not only that, I'm going to throw into this because I work with a guy that studied homeless people too.
Mhm.
Some of the people that are homeless by choice
By
because they don't,
choice, yes, yes.
by choice, because they want to roam freely and they don't want to listen to anyone's rules. So
Mhm.
it's a freedom to some of them. But the hard part is that a lot of them are left and put into society with unmanageable mental health issues.
Mhm.
And what do we do? How do we help to get them help that they need with mental health issues? Because sometimes those mental health issues can hurt other people. I mean, it's
Mhm.
sad to say, but but it's the truth. And a lot of the abuse comes from family, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things through this healing journey is I had to take back control of my life from hidden family secrets. I had to take control back of my life from my family not controlling me and me allowing them at my
Mhm.
age
Mhm.
to abuse me. And what
Mhm.
people don't realize is one of the things that I had to take accountability for was that I always put people first before me and I always put myself last. And through this healing journey, I learned how to put myself first. And when I started to put myself first and to love on me and to be the first person that I love, besides my Almighty God, but for me to love myself, to put myself at the top block, how can I love my kids and I don't properly love myself? I love them. I know that. But how can I healthy wise take care of my kids if I'm dealing with trauma that causes health issues and stuff? I have to be healthy within my heart to be healthy to other people. And me loving myself and putting myself first, this is the one thing I finally learned what love was.
You have
I
been talking several times about God, 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 repeatedly. So I want to ask you, uh, what is the role of God and your faith in all your journey?
before I almost lost my life,
Mhm.
I believed in God. If it was due to my childhood, because God has always been in my heart, but if it was due to my childhood, I would never, I would have never have believed in God. I always have, but I'm going to tell you because trauma and the things that I've seen started in the church,
Mhm.
adultery,
Oh yeah.
drama, molestation, you name it. I seen it in the church growing up, the people that sat in the church. But I never lost faith in God even as a child. I just, as I got older, I didn't go to churches. I listened, but I really didn't go into churches because of all the church is supposed to be the community, and the community is supposed to be led by the church. So why are these all these traumas coming from the church? When I almost lost my life, I seen it's a color I can't explain. It's all these different colors, but it's the translution is like this white mixed with all these. I can't even say it. And the devil looks like the Grim Reaper. And I can tell you a shield went over me, and I can feel God and the devil tug of warring me. Not feel them, but see them tug of warring with my life. And when God allowed me, that's why I was able to go to that hospital and forgive. Because if I never would have seen God in this situation, and I've heard people say they've seen God, and I look at them, I'll be like, you're crazy. But God will reveal himself when he's ready.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
definitely yes.
absolutely. You know what that situation did when I forgave and when I went to the hospital and God spared my life? I not only believe, I believe in him, but I became a believer. There's a difference of believing and being a
Oh
believer.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I am a believer of God. Am I perfect? No. Do I still have flaws? Absolutely. Do I still have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. I absolutely do. That doesn't change that I'm a believer in God, because the good fight, unfiltered, unspoken, all the work that I do is a passion from God saving my life. And that's why God is at the top. And that's why I am a believer. And that's why this work has to push through no matter what steps I have to go through to get there. This work that I'm doing is the revolution of God to show how people can go through traumas and go through the worst things in their life, but God can take them and change their entire life just from the traumas that they have been through, of accepting them, acknowledging them, and taking accountability.
You know, you are a living proof of that the darkest chapter of your life you became powerful because of your testimony. So how can the people support you? How can the people can support your mission? So because you're nonprofit, you do things because I see the thing that you post. So everything has money, needs support. How can the people support you?
Everything is about money, and I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah,
but everything is not about money either. It's about the belief in God.
yeah. The money comes because
It comes.
it's for a purpose. There's a purpose behind.
It is, and we need monetary donations. We do, because I risked my whole life, and my family knows this. When I say I risked my whole life, I mean my living style, my home, my everything. And I lost my job for a year and a half, about a year ago. And the people around me was like, give up, give up the good fight office. Let it go. I said, I can't. And God made a way. I don't know how. My whole life changed. I still struggle to keep it going because I financially support this a lot, and I can't. But God continues to somehow push through no matter what. And I wake up with a humble heart always, every day, just thankful when I open my eyes. But on our website, www.thegoodfight, there is a E on the good in the good. So TheGoodFight.org. There's a donation link through
Okay.
Give Butter. It's a secure a website for 501c nonprofit organizations. And if you could come support, please make a monetary donation. All proceeds go to supporting our nonprofit. If it's operational costs to help keep things running, if it's towards the youth, if people want to make donations, please reach out to our website, send a message. We'll send you the address. We do free youth hygiene kits. We have a donation boutique where we give back to the community. There are so many things, and I'm gearing to work to get the youth either laptops or tablets to further what they're doing, because we're doing some amazing things. So we ask for all the help that we can get, and every dime, every penny goes to the nonprofit organization. I've been approved for a salary for since this baby has started, and I haven't made one penny off of the good fight. Everything is invested. And I tell people don't know what it's like that you need, but you're there to give. But see, I'm able to give now for a good cause. I used to give to people that use me, but I allowed them. I take accountability, because if I would have said no, then they wouldn't have been able to do that. So
Because
I have to,
there is an art behind
yes,
the,
yes, it
the,
is.
the giving.
So
By the way, it's a Bible principle, but if you discover the art that is behind that is where everything, you know.
yeah,
So yeah. So well, we're coming to the end. We're
hey.
almost coming to the end. It was an incredible conversation, and wow, I'm very proud for you. And one of the things that I'm enjoying with these shows are that I'm hearing stories of people that, and as I said, the pattern that I'm finding is that how God operates, how God do things that people sometimes don't see why they're going to that situation, but there is a superior cause, something bigger than us that makes you transform and reveal yourself. So I'm gonna give you some last minute that to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
The mics are totally yours.
Okay, absolutely. First, I want to thank you and your journey, because you have been through a challenging road too. But look at you now; you're doing some amazing things, and I'm always watching you. So God bless you. I just want to say, if you're going through any kind of trauma or just trying to navigate to find hope or strength, I just want to tell you to believe in yourself. And even if it's like me, put stickies on the mirror just to tell yourself how much you love yourself, to tell yourself how much you're beautiful. The reflection in the mirror of looking at self is always going to be tough. It's one of the hardest things that anyone is put in a position to do. But I pray to God that you find strength and courage to work on that reflection in the mirror. And sometimes in life, you will have to change your circle. And number one, that could be your family. Sometimes they hurt you the most. And that is a
Yes.
hard pill to swallow. But that's one of the things that I did. I disassociated with almost all of my family. And I'm absolutely okay with that because it brought so much peace in my life. If there's someone hurting you, separate. And it is
Yes.
okay to say no. You don't have to. You don't have to feel pressured. Once you say no, you avoid yourself from putting yourself in another situation that you wouldn't have been in if you just would have said no. So I just encourage everyone and anyone to look at your life trauma and to face those traumas and to know some things are uncontrollable and some things are controllable. And there are probably a lot of things in your life that were uncontrollable. So forgive yourself. It is not your fault. It is not your fault at all. So I just want to say, facing your traumas is a big start of the journey to healing, and loving on yourself is the key to finding true love. You will not know what love is until you find love within yourself, and that will bring peace in your life. And get on board, come support the Good Fight, our nonprofit organization. And if I don't know if I can say this, if they want to be a guest on
No,
Unfiltered
no,
Unspoken.
no, no, no. The mics are yours. Go ahead.
Okay. And if you want to be on a guest on Unfiltered Unspoken podcast, please you can visit the website or you can email Demetria at unfilteredunspoken.com. So Demetria at unfilteredunspoken.com. I would love to have you as a guest if you've been through a life trauma or going through a life trauma, because everyone has not healed, that you would like to share in hopes to someone else will connect with you so that they can start the journey to healing. And thank you for tuning in and watching us, and God bless you.
Well, for the audience that are hearing this, I'm gonna leave all the Dimitria's contact, their link for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, her email, and she has the LinkedIn too. And well, my final words to you that has been an incredible show. I love it, and I'm gonna continue this journey. Next week we're gonna have an incredible guest. I'm having people because this series is called Meet the Expert, and Dimitria is an expert in the line and she has that wonderful foundation. So, well, Demetria, that was an incredible show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.
In the face of adversity, true leaders rise. This is the power of resilient leadership. But when crisis strikes, how do they respond? They adapt, they innovate, they persevere. That's the essence of resilient leadership. turning setbacks into comebacks.